Hi everyone. So a lot of things have been going on in the last couple of months and I haven't had an energy update for a while. Actually, I haven't had time to meditate and meet my guides as much as I did before. Having a son born in about a month and my daughter is just now beginning to go into kindergarten as well. So a lot of personal things have been happening in my life. Now, I will repeat what I usually say in energy updates. I go into a meditative state. I remove the consciousness that is Ray in order to receive these type of messages. You can call it channeling, but I don't believe that it's the right term because I believe in full trance channeling, where something speaks. But I believe it's more of a connection to the higher self of where we're going and what we just went through. Now, the first idea that I had was a type of regrouping. And what do I mean? I don't know how you experience the Corona time in your own country and in your own house. Every one of us has experienced it differently, some of us for the negative, some for the positive. And regrouping is sort of like realigning with a new purpose and a new intention. In my business, for example, things have changed. I've started doing online retreats instead of doing just live retreats or regular group retreats. And this has changed with a lot of things in my life as well, and I've seen it in humanity. So the light workers, which are most of you that are watching me right now, they can see the truth, right? We can see the truth beyond what is televisionized and the things that are the news and the media that are trying to scare us. And there's a huge regrouping because people now are becoming much more aware of this. Until now, we've told them about darkness and the light and about manipulation and about fake news and stuff like that. There's a whole energy that has come into the world of truth seekers. It doesn't mean that we're going to be given the truth immediately, but we are opening our eyes, and that means that our intuition now knows what is true and what is not much easier. Why? Because when one person raises their consciousness level, other people around them are also gradually raising their awareness without understanding even how it works. It's called it was an experience that was done on islands with some monkeys. And they showed that when a monkey learned something, other monkeys in that island learned it by themselves without seeing that monkey, and other monkeys in another island actually learned it as well. So there's a group collective that is still shifting. Now, I am tired of waiting. You are tired of waiting as well, because everybody's saying, yeah, there's a big shift. I can just tell you that you have to look at it from a broader perspective. The more you are in the present moment, the more you are yellow in the spiral dynamics modality that I'm bringing out a whole video series about spiral dynamics. The more you are non-dual, then you will see that humanity has changed and is changing a lot in a very condensed amount of time. And now we are peaking. It's actually becoming a peak. And my sensation, my feeling is that 2020 isn't over, giving us more and more surprises. I believe that there's other things not as powerful as this thing, yeah? And by the way, I even made some money in the crash of the stock market. There's opportunities to be held here because there's a whole restructuring of the system. And if there's a restructuring of a system that is in the world, and for the first time, I believe in humanity has united against one enemy. It doesn't matter if it's a real enemy or not a real enemy. For once, we have all suffered together. Okay, we've been lied to together. We are suffering the consequences together, and it's the first time that we're doing that. So all countries were affected. Now, of course, everybody's blaming each other like always. Somebody needs to take responsibility, blah, 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 blah. But if there's a restructuring of the outside world, it means that there is a restructuring or an opportunity for restructuring within ourselves. Because everything in the outside world is a reflection of the things that are happening inside ourselves. Even if you don't believe it, that's the way that it actually works. The big or the above is as below. So if there's something happening inside yourself, that means that the world is changing as well. I've also noticed that there are certain people now and certain behaviors that I can no longer stand in myself as well. I have a new business. It's a hyperbaric chamber chain business. So we have a couple of clinics. And one time my partner asked me to lie in order to gain something. And I tried doing that and it just didn't work. I tried doing that and I gave myself all the excuses. It's business, we have to tell them something to get something. And I just told him, it's impossible for me to lie. And my business partner, of course, he didn't like that, and he had to take that upon himself, even though I encouraged him not to. And I noticed that I just can't stand certain people. I have a friend, a really good and close friend, that I believe that I'm going to disengage from pretty soon. Why? Because I see that the way he runs things in his life, and I see how he manipulates, and I see the lies that he tells himself. And I believe that the consciousness has changed within myself, and the raising vibration causes the world to actually split. It's sort of like people from school, you know, your school friends that you're no longer engaged with, you no longer keep in touch. They're still there, but the world has split, and you went into a different path. Same thing with relationships. I can no longer stand different individuals. And I see that this is happening all over the place. I see a lot of people, especially after being quarantined for a couple of months, I believe that divorce attorneys are celebrating because a lot of people understood that they can't deal with it anymore. They can't be in this type of relationship, or they can't be confined to this house with that particular person. And this happens to all of us to a degree, to one degree or another. But now I can see that I cannot stand not being myself. And that forces me to become my true self. And I believe that this is a part of our spiritual development. This is a part of our personal development. That we remove more and more masks and more ideologies that we have been taught and forced and programmed into. And the more masks we remove, we become more of our conscious self. And to do that, the last couple of months and the month that is coming and the whole year of 2020, you know, it's a big number, it's a shift, you know. The whole idea is to become more self-aware. And self-awareness is to our thoughts, to our emotions, to our habits. You know, all these things that define us, our belief system, where did it come from? Do we still believe in that? Were we forced to believe in that when we were kids? Did this and this trauma that we didn't take responsibility for is still making us the person that we are? Where can we find more happiness? Because happiness and excitement is our core true self. Every time I make a video outside, I have a garbage truck, I have airplanes above, I have a bird sitting right next to me going, sweet, sweet, sweet. So, and the last thing I want to give in this energy update is a modality. Now, I have learned the spiral dynamics modality, and I've issued a video series about it. It's going to come out pretty soon. But I understand now that we are moving gradually outside of ourself into a perspective that is more social, more non-dual, more realistic in the non-realistic approach. It's sort of like insanity. So you have insanity and you have sanity. Sanity is what they tell you is normal. Insanity is everything that is the opposite and craziness. And there's a sweet spot in the middle that is unsane. And in the unsane, we have the understanding of how complex things really are. And we let go of the struggle to try to understand the whole thing, and we kind of like go with the flow of life. And that's where I am right now, and that's the energy shift that I'm exploring and that I feel. I want to understand more of the modalities. I want to understand more about humanity and every person, how to deal with. And this is why spiral dynamics, the modality that I'm going to give you in a video series, has really influenced the way that I see things and made me very calm. And because, you know, I'm a yellow, when you'll understand the colors, and a yellow really likes to have modalities and see things fit and put the information together and see the broader picture. And this is where the energy is going. So we're moving, of course, if you have some troubles and financial difficulties and you're sitting at home and they fired you and stuff like that, of course it'll go through a stage of negativity. But eventually, it's always darkest before dawn. And people are awakening up, you know, we are beginning to be more unified as a world, as human beings. And that's the beauty of it. And seeing things from a broader perspective eases your mind because you don't see yourself and you move out of the negative emotions that you might have in your own story that you keep telling yourself into a broader perspective. In the East, they don't see suffering like we see it in the West. In the West, we have a mentality of orange, moving into materialism, and you have to be successful, and at school you have to learn science, and everything is more logical. And in the East, poverty is all around them all the time. And they know that you don't have to be successful in order to be happy. Actually, the people that I met in the East are much happier than the people in the West, and they had significantly less things. Because in the West we have goals, and when we don't meet those goals, then we think about ourselves as failures. And in the East, they have radical self-acceptance. In other words, it's okay to suffer, and it's okay to not be perfect, so that's the way you are, and that's the way we're going to embrace you. So, think about the things that I just talked about. Think about the empowerment and about the change in perspective and about the changes that 2020 really brought in the unified field and understanding more of the modalities of life and other people as well. And that's it, my friends. Have a beautiful end of 2020. I'll be bringing out some online courses pretty soon. And if you want to join one of my amazing life-changing retreats, go to raymaor.com. I truly believe that if you join me for a 9-day retreat with other light workers, your life is going to fundamentally change. It's not only about eating habits, it's about how we have a higher vibration in our body and become self-aware. That's it. Namaste.
Baby.